and welcome to Rooted in Yad, where I talk about what it's really like living in Jamaica so that you can learn what to expect and how to thrive if you are planning to make the move here. And today, this was supposed to be the day that I released the long distance video in this series, but I actually had to interrupt this series because I had some discussions and interactions and came across some new information. So today I'd like for us to get into some really important dating insights. These insights are going to be relevant like regardless of whether you want to date men or women, and specifically I think that these tips could help you to better identify persons who would be compatible with you and that who you could develop long-lasting relationships with. And yes, especially for being in Jamaica. Oh, and if you are Jamaican and living here and you're watching this video is for you too, okay? You will also benefit from this information if you are looking for a serious relationship here, or a serious relationship here with another Jamaican. Now, in terms of everybody else, if you haven't watched the previous videos that I created specifically for women and men and like understanding cultural differences, yeah, you can go watch those videos. I do think that they will still be helpful, but I think that this video alone can really help you with pinpointing which persons you can actually have long-lasting relationships with. I mean, nothing is perfect, okay? These tips aren't completely foolproof, but I think you will still find them very helpful. Okay, so in the previous video for both men and women, I talked about if you're looking to date a Jamaican, looking for someone who has a job that they're comfortable with or pay that they're comfortable with may be helpful. Because since the person is comfortable with their pay and they're all right financially, they won't be looking at you as an opportunity. It's not foolproof, okay? But it can be a decent indicator. Now, where might you find these people? I want to talk about that a little bit. As I said in my video for women, I didn't talk about really this in the men video, but in my video for women, the three positive dating experiences that I had. Okay, all of them were positive. It was just three, but the three dating experiences I had, I met two guys in a club, and I met Heavy Bear on the resort that he was working at. But what these experiences kind of had in common was the location, meaning I met all of these guys in a location or in locations that tourists frequently visit or visited and that tourists have to pay to get into. Now, whether you're Jamaican or not, I think this might be helpful to you because if these persons, these Jamaican persons that you are seeking to date are in places that tourists frequent, as in these Jamaican persons also have to pay a good amount to get in. If these people are in these places, it means that they are likely there because they are established enough to be visiting there, right? And if they have enough money to be visiting these tourist places, then they are likely good enough financially that they won't be looking at you as an opportunity. Now, they might work on the resort, right? Or they might work in that tourist place, so there is that. But then you can kind of talk to them to see, you know, if they're happy with their job or if they're happy with their pay. And then that can be an indication that they won't be trying to see you as an opportunity. And as I said, this tip is regardless of whether the person is a man or a woman. These tips I'm giving are regardless of, you know, whatever gender they are or whatever they identify as. Okay, so the next tip I want to give is a tip from an interaction. Someone had mentioned that one of the ways that they weeded out those who they weren't compatible with was by being very direct and upfront about what they wanted. So things like the level of treatment they expect, attention, commitment, whether they wanted marriage, their ambition and goals, and kind of how they expect in terms to match in terms of a partner, financial support, children, etc., etc., etc. Like they were just very clear and upfront with people about what they wanted from a relationship. And this person mentioned that in their experience, so this person was talking about dating Jamaicans. I believe it was from a Jamaican talking about dating other Jamaicans. This person said in their experience, the people who weren't willing to meet their needs indicated that to them fairly quickly, right? So In some instances, like it took them some time to figure that out. But in a lot of instances, many people fell off their radar quite quickly because, they knew they didn't want to have to do all that, right? And after directly expressing what you want and need, you can see by the person's actions, not by their words. I mean, yeah, the words are important, but by their actions, you can see whether they are actually compatible. Like, are they showing you that they have the same ambition as you? If you've stated that you need a certain level of attention or commitment, are they actually doing that? Something else this person said was that they found out when you state your wants and needs and intentions clearly, it also doesn't leave room for the person to say things like, oh, I didn't know you wanted that, or like it doesn't leave really any room for any misunderstanding about what you're saying. Like, it's like they know you're not about the games, right? When you clearly express your intentions, they know that, you're not about the games and stuff. So if they want to play games, they know it's not worth playing those games with you. They'd just be wasting their time because they know that you are very aware and that you are looking out for certain things. So like you're not going to put up with the foolishness. And if you see that they can't meet those things that you need, if they can't show you the level of, let's say, the level of commitment or whatever, then you can just leave. Like, I mean, you can give another chance if you want, but in my opinion, when someone shows you who they are the first time, it's in your best interest to believe them. The whole fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. But I mean, if you fool me 3 times, that's a damn shame. Now, there is a point to be made here in what I'm saying, that like, if you tell someone what you need, if you tell someone what you want, they can actually use that against you and they can use it to trick you. I know some women especially, they don't tell guys, right? Not just Jamaican guys, right? But just men in general. Like they don't tell them what they want up front, or it's not advisable to do that because they don't want the guy to act like the person that they say they want instead of who they really are. And then these women end up getting tricked. And this is actually something that happens enough seemingly everywhere, that a lot of women have been telling each other, like, no, don't do that. Don't tell him what you want. Don't tell him what you're looking for. And then not just don't tell the men what you're looking for, but don't tell them about your trauma. Don't even tell them about like your prior relationships and how you were really treated. Because the goal for a lot of men, the goal is to win, right? For a lot of men, a lot of heterosexual men, getting into a relationship with a woman, the goal is to win. When they can get in a relationship with a woman, that is them winning, right? And they're playing to win, and will act however they need to in order to win. And as a woman, when you're telling a man what you want or what you need, you're making his job easier, right? Regardless of how he actually is, he will do whatever he needs to do in order to win. But even regarding like the prior relationships and trauma, a lot of women don't necessarily want to tell men that either, at least up front, because, well, one, some men are bad actors. Some men will just, they'll use that and they'll just do bad things with that information and try and make you feel worse about that. But outside of that, it seems in a lot of men's minds, I'm not saying all men, so if you're a man listening to this, did I say all men? I said in a lot of men's minds, okay? And a lot of men's minds, that translates into that being the standard. It's like when women talk about their previous traumas or how other men treated them in the past relationships, then they try and go into a relationship with a new man and they tell the new man that, and the man's like, oh, okay. So what that means is you were willing to settle for that before. Well, that means I can do that to you because you'll settle for it again, right? But I do think that it's still important, whether man or woman. I do think that it's still important, and especially when dating Jamaicans, to very clearly and directly make it known what you want. Maybe not everything, right? Not everything. We don't want to get tricked, but certainly for important things. And I mean, it worked for that person, right? It worked for that person, and it worked for me. Like I very clearly said to every man that I was seeing here that I intend to get married, and then I left the ball in their court. And they could either hop on board or leave. And like, I'm also a hot foot. Like I didn't care if a man left, like, and 9 times out of 10, I was going to be the one cutting things off anyway, because like, I don't have a high tolerance for foolishness. And even my husband, when we were seeing each other, I told him I intended to get married. And then he explained, well, like, he's not used to that in his family. That's not really what happens. Growing up, that's not really what happens. And culturally, that's not really what happens. What usually happens is people kind of choose a person and then they're just together and then that's it. But I told him, I'm like, well, okay, that's fine and well. But if you want to be with me long term, that we're going to have to get married. That's the only way that this is going to work. And, eventually, I guess, eventually he thought about it and, he really wanted us to be together long term. And then he proposed and now we've been married 10 years this year. So, but my point for sharing that is, if I did not voice what I wanted or what I needed, how would he know? Right? Like if I didn't let him know, I'd probably be there upset or frustrated or something that he wasn't giving me certain things. But then at the same time, I never clearly expressed that to him. So how would he know? And I'm thinking of that meme, like, how are they going to know? They're going to know. How are they going to know? They're going to know. But no, like in real life, it's not like that. In real life, it's not like that. Okay, but for you, for this tip, I'd say to kind of weigh what you want to do. Like I think it's good, especially if you're from foreign and you want to date a Jamaican, to very clearly express your intentions and what you're looking for, because that's going to weed out a lot of riffraff, a lot of undesirables, and a lot of incompatibles. And as I said, you don't necessarily have to say everything up front, but important things, right? Important things you can say that up front. For other things, you can kind of just like keep that in the back of your mind and make a mental note about whether you are actually compatible in those other ways that are important to you. Okay, that was a lot for that point. I want to move on to the next one, which is also a tip from someone else. And they mentioned, I guess I'll call it references. So this is twofold. One aspect is that if the person you're dating, if they let you have access to their friends and their family and their community, it can be a good indicator of the seriousness of the relationship and of the type of person they are. I mean, not always, right? Because like some friends and family enable bad habits and like they hide things, etc., etc. But like generally, if a person, if they aren't serious about you, like they're not going to be looking to do all that. They're not going to want to have you around those they care about. Like if they're thinking it's something short term, they're going to hide you. Like they don't plan to have you around for long. So they're not going to, try and bring you around those they care about. Now, the other aspect here is that you also want to have access to their friends and family and community, and see whether these people are vouching for their character. Like when they are around their community, you are seeing how that person is treating others. You'll be able to see and hear like whether they've lied to you about the stories they've told you about their past. You'll be able to see if they are who they've said they are. Because they're going to be a lot more comfortable around their friends and family and their community, and they're going to act more like their natural self around those people. So you'll be better able to see who they really are. And then you'll also be able to see how they interact with those people and how those people interact with them, which can also give you some insights. But also, I will add to this, you'll also see, when you hang around their community, you're also going to see the type of people they hang around and who they are friends with. Like people can't always choose their family, but they do choose their friends. There's that saying, birds of a feather flock together. I know this isn't always true, but a lot of times it is. Like let's say if you're a man dating a Jamaican woman, right? And you're around her and her friends, and her friends are mentioning that they're all cheating on their partners, right? Or if they don't mention it, you see them, they have partners and they're all cheating on their partners. I mean, is it far-fetched to also think that she is that type of person? Like why else would she be hanging around with people like that? If she's hanging around with those type of persons and she's like not saying anything to them about their behavior, she's not admonishing them, she's not telling them, not to do that, etc., etc. I mean, I know there are other circumstances that bring people together, but why would she be such close friends with people like that? The natural thought then is to think that she's also like that. And then you got to watch yourself because you probably get bun too. So this is what I'm talking about. Now, when you're around their community and their friends, especially, when you're around the people that they've chosen to be in their life, something to also think about is what type, like, those people, what types of people are those people? What qualities do they have? And if there seems to be like similarities, like a thread of similarities, especially in ways that wouldn't be compatible with you, well, then it's likely that it isn't a good idea to continue that relationship. But alternatively, maybe you notice that the person you're seeing, they hang around with like good, wholesome people who have qualities that are compatible with you, who have ambition, who prioritize certain things, who uplift each other, right? Then that's a good sign that things can work, right? So, and I know nobody is perfect, okay? I'm not saying to expect perfection from others. That's not at all what I'm saying here. But just seeing whether basic characteristics you value are present, like honesty, trustworthiness, or other characteristics, it can be a very good indicator. Now, the last point that I think is really important to mention here is also a tip from someone else. And it was about looking for emotional availability in the person. So in short, what this person was saying was psychologically healthy relationships have emotional availability. The level of emotional availability a person has can be an indicator of their likeliness and ability to have a successful long-term relationship. But the thing they mentioned, because they're Jamaican as well, so a lot of these tips are actually from Jamaicans who are here. But the thing that this person mentioned is that many Jamaicans, including themselves, don't have much emotional availability. It is unfortunate, but a lot of the time it's both cultural and it's how people are raised here. Because a lot of the time people here aren't taught really to be emotionally available. Culturally, mental health isn't even prioritized. And a lot of people, unfortunately, haven't had like healthy models, healthy relationship models, and especially modeling of psychologically healthy relationships. So these people see that, right? They've seen what they've seen, and then they end up repeating the behaviors that they've seen, and they end up just repeating what they know because that's all they know. So what this means is that for many Jamaicans, in order to have emotional availability, they would have to actively, consciously, and mindfully work at that. But then to even do that would require like a certain level of self-awareness, a certain level of courage, and working on addressing the factors that influence their level or that influenced their level of emotional availability. So things like understanding like the parenting they received, especially the emotional impact of that parenting and working through that. And even working through, you know, some of the cultural things. And I think I'll even add here, like just I don't know, developing critical thought, because I feel like that's also a part of it. Because when you think critically, you can think critically enough to go against the grain, look around and be like, yeah, I don't really like that. So some ways this person shared of how we can quickly assess someone's potential emotional availability are 4 things. One is empathy, which is actually the biggest clue. So this is things like, can the person empathize with other people, including strangers, especially strangers? Do they deeply care about the feelings and experiences of others when there's no direct advantage to themselves for doing that? People who are empathetic care about the feelings and experiences of others, even if they don't get any benefit really from doing so. Like there's no direct advantage to doing so. So this might look like things like them not doing something that they know would make others uncomfortable. Like they wouldn't do that because they don't want others to feel uncomfortable, but I guess that's also a level of self-awareness to self-awareness. I guess it is empathy to kind of think about how other people feel and how their actions impact other people and how their actions can impact how other people feel. So the next thing they mentioned is conflict style. So when you're looking for a potential partner, can this person handle conflict in a healthy way, in a way that takes into account the feelings and thoughts of other people, or do they try and reach a respectful resolution, or do they like fight dirty, personally attack, do they demean, do they blame others, do they march off, do they like just stonewall? Because emotionally available people are going to navigate conflict in a way that takes others into account, which means that they are going to try and reach a respectful resolution. Like they're not going to personally attack somebody else or fight dirty because they're taking that other person into account, and they're taking their feelings into account. Now the third thing is level of dishonesty. So looking for a potential partner, how normal is it for that person to lie? Do they lie about things, like small things, even when they don't need to? Do they omit information purposefully, or not tell you things that they know would be important or relevant to you? So emotional available people, they're not going to normalize dishonesty, because they're thinking about how others they're thinking about how others think and feel, and being lied to and being tricked is not nice, so they're not going to normalize doing that to others. And lastly, the last thing the person mentioned is their communication. So the person's communication, is it clear, direct, open, honest? Are they communicating in a way that indicates that they are taking others' thoughts and feelings into account? Or are they avoiding things? Are they dancing around issues? Are they making jokes when you are trying to discuss something important or discuss something difficult? And this is because emotionally available people, because they consider others and how others, might perceive them and their behavior, and they don't want to make others feel bad. Like they're thinking from the point of view of others. They want to communicate in a way that ensures that there's clarity and honesty. And they also want to ensure that they are taking the serious issues, that they're actually taking those as seriously as their partner. Now, something else, a fifth thing that I'm actually going to add to this list, that I think is very, very important to consider, is their level of narcissism. Okay, so are they okay with having fun at someone else's expense, or even having fun at an animal's expense? When someone says to them, hey, I don't like when you do this, when there's a clear indication from someone else, hey, I don't like when you do this, do they intentionally keep doing it anyway? Just because they get a kick out of it? Can they handle not being the center of attention? Can they handle when you're the center of attention? Like, let's say you get a higher paying job, or you just exceed in some way that they didn't. Are they angry? Are they trying to sabotage you? And I say that because emotionally available people, because they seriously consider the thoughts and feelings of others, they want to respect others, which includes not doing things that, someone has already expressed that they don't like, or they can clearly see their behavior, the way they behave, the other person does not like that. And when they see that, they stop. Emotionally available people also understand that it's okay and safe not to be the center of attention all the time. Like, they can share the spotlight because they know they are not the center of the universe, and that others exist. Emotionally available people, when someone else is willing, they know that someone else winning doesn't diminish their accomplishments, and therefore they don't need to feel threatened. And in fact, because they consider others' thoughts and feelings, they celebrate those wins, right? They celebrate the wins of others. They celebrate the wins of their partners, and they aren't trying to sabotage them. Now, again, I'm not saying that people have to be perfect. All of what I said, I'm not saying that people have to be perfect, okay? I'm not perfect. I mean, y'all clearly know. Some of these comments y'all leave, y'all know I'm not perfect, right? I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. They're not perfect. Your potential partner is not perfect, never will be perfect, and that's fine. But considering these things can give you a higher chance of success in finding and cultivating a successful long-term relationship, especially with a Jamaican, because we're talking about Jamaica. But I mean, really with anyone, but especially here. Now, one last thing I do want to mention that I think is helpful to think about is, when you're hanging around this person, do they make you want to be a better person? Like, I know in my case, for me, that's true. Hubby Bear, he makes me want to be a better person. He is so kind. Like, he's so kind. He's generous. He's caring. He's empathetic. In fact, he's kinder than me. He's actually kinder than me. It's not that I'm not kind or nice or whatever, but he's actually kinder than I am. And sometimes he'll do certain things, and I'm like, you know what? I gotta up level this. Like, he makes me want to be a better person. Does this person do that for you? Do they motivate you in that way? Do they make you want to be a better person? Do they make you feel like there's good in the world? Or are they like just sapping your energy and your life force? So that's also something to think about, as well as, okay, one more thing. Are y'all similar? Are there any similarities there at all? or or are you too much the same? There's a Jamaican saying, you might have heard it, when two are the same, one is not necessary. However, I will say, I think the more alike you are sometimes, it is better, because then you understand each other better, and you'll also like be able to better enjoy each other's time. I mean, unless you don't like yourself. So there's that too. But going back to the saying, I mean, yeah, I understand what the saying is saying, because you do also want someone who compliments you, right? Like in my case, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm kind of like, whoo, like I'm kind of blow with the wind. I'm kind of flighty, or I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. I'm kind of just like I blow with the wind, and then my husband is like a literal rock. Like he's just like, I'm like, whoo, and he's just right, like he's a literal rock. Like once he sets his mind to something, that's it. There's no changing. There's no, so we're clearly not the same in that way. We have a lot of similarities, sure, but like we do have enough differences to be like, yeah, we are actually different people. Okay, so that is it. I think this video is long enough. That is it for me today. I hope you can see why I said I had to interrupt the series in order to include this video, because I really think that these tips could help you in finding Jamaicans to have good long-term relationships with. So just to do a quick recap, because this video was kind of long, just to do a quick recap of what I mentioned in this video, when it comes to finding people to have long-term relationships with, it's important to consider these things. If the person has a job that they're comfortable with, I'll use this hand. If the person has a job they're comfortable with, or like they're comfortable with the pay, they likely won't be looking at you as an opportunity. And you can potentially find those persons at places that tourists have to pay to frequent, because if they have the funds to be there, it's very likely that they are good on their opportunities and don't need you to be one. Another thing is being upfront and direct with what you want, like letting them know that. Then once you're upfront and direct, seeing if they actually behave in a way that is compatible with what you want and what you need. The next thing is whether they bring you around those they care about, because it's an indication that they are serious about you. And then along with that, whether those they care about can vouch for them and vouch for their character and the things that they've told you. And also you want to consider the character of those in their chosen circle. And then the last thing is the level of emotional availability, because those with limited emotional availability are not likely to have successful, healthy, long-term relationships. Not saying that it can't ever happen, okay? I just mean that it's not likely. It's not likely. And then, the things I mentioned about like, do they make you feel, when you're around them, do you feel you want to be a better person? And then also considering the similarities, because y'all don't want to be so different that you have nothing in common. What are you going to talk about? How are y'all going to chill? How are you just going to sit in the house and just, I don't know, you're over here, they're over there, and you just never, you want some similarities there. But then maybe you don't want to be too similar, because where two are the same, one is not necessary. Do with that what you want. Maybe that's completely irrelevant to you. But okay, that is it officially. I hope that you found this video helpful, or at least at minimum entertaining. If you did, do hit that like button to let me know. But I also want to hear from you. If you are a Jamaican or you are living here, what do you think about these tips? I mean, you can tell me as well if you're not living here what you think about these tips, but I also want to hear from people living here. Like, what do you think about these tips? And in particular, are there other things that you think people should be considering as well when they are wanting to create healthy, long-term partnerships, relationships with a Jamaican? Leave it in the comments and, let everybody know, because, we want people to be successful out here. And if you are planning to move here, okay, you're from foreign, you're in foreign, and you're planning to move here, and you want even more support outside of my freebies and outside of my free videos, I would definitely recommend getting my Moving to Jamaica starter guide. So at the point of me creating this video, it is available for pre-order for $10, and the price will go up when the guide is complete. However, the first section is actually done. There are 4 sections to the guide. And the whole entire first section is completely done. It's completely done and available. So you will actually get that when you purchase the pre-order. So if you're interested, the links will be in the comments and in the description. And as a heads up, okay, like maybe in the next like 5 to 6 videos, because like I batch create videos, I won't be mentioning the first section I just talked about because I filmed all of those videos before this one. I'm inserting this one in, but the first section is available, so you can already start getting help for your move here, and then you will receive the other sections as they become available. Okay, so in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, do subscribe so that you don't miss what's coming next, which I believe should be the video on navigating long distance, unless I have another interruption for you. But that's it, and thank you so much. I will see you in the next one. Okay, and in case this video wasn't long enough for y'all, I just want to share, if you've been keeping up with the series and watching, did my hair shrink as I was doing this video? Whatever. If you've been keeping up with the series and watching, you'll see that my hair is different, and that is because I decided to take out my locks. So what you saw in my head, they were locks, twists, but I was letting them lock up. But then I took them out because I didn't like the way I did them. I did them myself. I didn't like the way I did them. Some were too big, some were too small. I'm like, I gotta do this over before this really locks up. And then I gotta, like, I don't know, shave it all off or something. So I took them out. So this is my hair in its natural state. So I'm planning to redo my locks. Maybe I'll do a vlog about that because enough people have said to me, you should be doing a vlog. No. I'm like, all right, fine. Okay. Maybe I'll do a vlog about that. But yeah, I'm planning to redo the locks. This is just brief intermittent hair. I will be doing it myself. It's not that I can't go to a loctician, but I guess I'm kind of resourceful. You know what's funny? So it's kind of like with my parents. So my grandpa had said to my parents, because they're always doing things themselves, and my mom even cuts my dad's hair, and my grandpa was like, boy, not even a barber can make money off of you guys. And I guess it's the same here, right? I'm not gonna go to a loctician to get my hair done. And also, I ain't got loctician money like that, so I am not doing that. Unless you would like to donate to the cause. On my site, there'll be a donate button, or, pre-ordering the guide will help donate to the cause of me getting a loctician, but I'm probably going to do it myself. So donate if you want, but you don't have to. Okay, that's it. This video is long enough. I just thought I'd share a little fun little tidbit about myself, just in case you cared. If you did, do let me know. That would be very interesting. I would like to know. Yeah, and let me know if there's any other topics or something that y'all want to see. And all right, that is it. Thank you for watching. Bye.